Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
So if you're looking for disruptive mindset conversations that is literally going to blow your mind and transform your mindset 360 degree, shifting you to the life that you've always dreamed to have. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen is the show you like to listen to with expert and professionals who have just the right information and insight that will literally going to blow your mind and move you closer to the life you've always dreamed to have. It gives me a pleasure to have Dallin Candland on the show today. Now, Dallin Candland is an author and also a podcaster. Welcome with me on the show today, Dallin Candland.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Dallin, for coming to the show. Now you focus on helping people grow in self-improvement and personal development, and that's what Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen is all about. Now I'm looking forward to really work our time with you on this show. Now, Daĺlin is spelled Dallin. Right. So, Daĺlin, now you believe in having abundant compassion on oneself and on others. So, I'd like to ask you this question. What led you to this conclusion now? What's a particular experience that you like to share with my audience?
I think a lot of it is that we're all at different parts in our journey. And so you can't expect to be at the same spot as someone else because there's limited spots for different opportunities, right? So like basketball team, I didn't make the basketball team. I got down to final cuts, and that happened in 7th grade as well. And so I ultimately wasn't chosen. For a basketball team, you choose like maybe 16 people. That's usually like the most you put on a team, at least for high school. And so I kind of had to accept that. When I didn't make the team, my mom told me, hey, just come up with me and love it and just appreciate it. And you could be the manager and you can create your own experience from this. And so she saw it as a win or a merging win. And so for me, trusting in that, what she was saying really helped pave the road that I am in a good place and I like where I am, even if I'm not on the team. And so I did track for 3 years as well to help me get in better shape for it. And that led to all kinds of different transformations and things. And all my grades going way out of the roof because I was able to see myself in a different way. And a lot of that was abundant compassion on myself when things fell short or when I made mistakes, because I surely made mistakes. But I've seen throughout the years since then, as I've done sales and done other stuff, it's like that abundant compassion is key if you really want to go through the door that you want to go through.
Absolutely. Now, you basketball out. You just highlighted that now. Now, you never made the basketball team while in high school, and you know how it feels or what it feels to be excluded and how it feels to be included. Right. Now, what's your take on the importance of inclusion, right, and diversity in organization and also in our personal life?
Yeah, there needs to be inclusion and diversity because, I mean, I played a lot of Pokemon growing up, and you need to have teams that cover for various weaknesses because everybody has different strengths and things they bring to the table. And if you don't celebrate what somebody brings to the table and really understand that, then you're going to just fall short. You know, I played in a game last night and we had some people that are a little shorter than me. You know, I'm pretty tall. And then there's some people that can do other stuff or better at passing. And I'm pretty good all around. But like, you need to have some of those people that have confidence in other skills, because you can be confident in everything, but that's a little bit hubris, you know, a little bit crazy if you're like, oh yeah, I can be the best drawer of all time and you've never drawn anything in your life. Like, you're probably not gonna be that great at it. But if you have people that you've included, like my brother does a lot of graphic design and stuff, having him on my team makes a lot of sense with various projects, but to not include is to exclude yourself from tons of different opportunities.
All right. Now let's talk about vision. Now, uncertain vision for one's life. I know this something that you're particular about. How does a person get a clear vision for their life? And also, at what point do you think that they begin to, think on setting a vision? Because I believe that, there comes a time in a person's life, when you begin to, put one or two together and begin to, come to the realization of so many things, right? And then for you as a person, is there any particular time that a person needs to begin to, think about setting a vision for their life in the long term?
Yeah, so to have a vision for your life, I think is absolutely crucial. I think it comes with clarity of your values and then continuing to work towards those really small. So like right now, for me, it's just making really tiny progress every single day, kind of the James Clear thing. There's been times I've like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I don't do it. What I've really discovered is that running for me, I always see it as a win. Always. It's like if I run, it's a win, because when I started, I was slow and now I'm a lot faster and I'm a lot more stamina, have a lot more stamina. And I've seen a lot of benefits from that. Like last night, I was able to run up and down the court almost the entire game, so like there's a really a big need to have that vision for your life. As far as like, a time when I was able to see that more, I would say being the basketball manager, because I would literally spend hours watching the game and watching the teams play, and I'd be moving the camera back and forth, for like hours. And so it's like you get a lot of time to think about your life during that point. And I really feel like God was reaching out to me because I was trying to live the best life I could at the time with the knowledge I had. And he was just like giving me little hints or giving me little thumbs up. Like, hey, I recognize you. He recognizes everybody. Like the person who is struggling to put food on the table and the person who is a Fortune 500 CEO, he loves both of them the exact same. So his vision has inspired my vision tremendously. And so when I look at any of the most powerful times in my life, it's usually because I'm trusting his vision more than my own.
All right. Now, Daĺlin, you're an author, basketball, and you do that. Your podcaster and podcaster also is really a big work. And now I can say that you wear many hats in your profession. So we talk about being productive. How do you manage to be productive now? So some of the ways that you like to share with my audience, and how one can achieve more in less time.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to do that, I do have a lot of hats. You're right. Like I have this one. I was in Alaska earlier this year. I have this one for the Utah Jazz. So anyway, so one thing that's really helped me recently is just accepting my golden hours, my sacred hours. And those are usually like in the morning. Like I got up at 5:30 this morning, been doing other stuff before this podcast. And so it's something I recognized in college, right? Because I had some classes that would be earlier in the morning, and then I take up my morning, I get home, I am tired, and I eat a tiny bit of food, and then I go to another class and I'm more tired because it's early afternoon and I'm crashing. And then by the time I get home to do other homework and stuff, I'm borderline useless. I'm tired, my brain has been on this whole day, as opposed to like this morning I got up, I wrote like two or almost 2,500 words, did some scripture study, played some video games, wrote some LinkedIn posts, only in like 2 hours. And like today already is a win for me. And I think it's really hard, extremely hard to accept that and to give yourself that grace and be like, you know what? I did what I wanted to do and that's enough. Previous versions of me maybe would look at what I've done so far today and be like, you know what? this is great, but we're going to push the envelope so far and we're going to go so much farther than that, because look at all this other time. We still have like 12 hours left in the day to do other stuff. But I know myself well enough now that I'm like, you know what? We're not going to do that. Today's my day off from work. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to do a lot of reading, a lot of chilling, a lot of relaxation, and I'll work on some other stuff, but I've already gotten like the lion's share of what I want to get done today. So I'm content with that. So I think really just understanding when you have energy and prioritizing like your whole day around that is a big part of it, because you just save a ton of time.
All right. Now you've almost answered the next question I'd like to ask you, because you mentioned about your golden hair. Now this is also talking about, getting to know who you are, getting to know what really works for you, and also, the prime time, you're really active and where your energy, so you can know how to channel your energy rightly, right, to be able to get the right result. Now, we know that some folks, they're productive in the night. You said you're productive in the morning. Also, the same applies to me too. I'm productive in the morning and some in the afternoon. Now, why is this so? And maybe you can share more insight on how people, can know where their productivity lies.
That's a good question. So when you say where their productivity lies, do you mean like what system or tool would be best for them and some way to like find that out? Is that what you mean?
Yes, how they can find out where their productivity lies.
Yeah, I would say
yes, are there steps they need to take? Are there any tips, any strategies, they can begin to improve on, right, in order for them to be able to, because I think that for you personally, you are to get to a point in your life where you get to realize this is where my productivity level lies. This is where, my strength lies. This is the way, I can really, pump the energy and I can get results. So for other people who are there, for my audience, some are just confused, just in the rot.
Yeah, I think
you can share an insight, probably a personal experience that can help them, assist them in this regard.
Yeah, so what I've really seen is for me, writing is my thing. Like I absolutely love speaking. I love jumping on stages and speaking at church and stuff, and I'll put myself out there to do that. But there is writing that happens before that fuels a lot of the confidence and fuels a lot of the insights and the laughs and everything like that will happen, hours and hours and hours before they happen. So like for me, when it comes to being most productive and tracking, and I think one of the most important things you can do is have a way to review and a way to check what is working. So for me, I do a lot of writing. I have journals for podcasting. I have journals for, I have this journal that I literally like write in when I wake up, and it just has a couple things like, okay, when did I wake up? What am I excited for today? What's a question that I have that I want to ponder throughout the day? What's an affirmation? So like one of them is like, I'm a valuable piece of the puzzle in many lives. It just gives me something to think about. But like for me, writing those things is valuable. I do an audio journal as well, so I talk as well, and listen to it again. But for me, making things that I write and consciously write in, and making that a big pillar of how I put in my like productive checkbook, if you want to call it that, like that's vital. If you do better writing, or you do better speaking, or you do better at drawing, I would recommend building your entire system around that one thing that you love doing.
All right. Now, Daĺlin, what are you doing consistently to ensure that you're maintaining your productivity line? Are there steps, are there actions that you're taking, right, in order not to sway away from this?
I think a lot of it's commitments. So I believe God keeps every commitment he ever makes. God is infallible, right? So like if he makes a commitment, I'm going to do this, he does it. If he says, hey, like, anyway. So like for me, I'm trying to adopt the same mindset to a certain degree. It's like, okay, if I say I'm going to do this, then I'm going to commit to it. So right now, one of the biggest commitments I've made to myself is I'm going to get up in the morning and get something done, because there's been times where I wake up, and right now I work at 10 a.m. to 3:30 when I have work. It's I work at a thrift store, and it's not the most glamorous job, and I can't work very many hours in the week, so I don't really have a ton of time to work on that. But like when I don't get something done in the morning, it does kind of feel a little bit like a waste. I love getting to work having already done a bunch of different things. And this is a pattern that I noticed, way earlier on in my life. And so, those days where I go on a run with the cross country team before doing anything else, is like, holy cow, dude, I've set my day up for success, like literally. So when I really prioritize simple stuff like that, waking up in the morning, and you nail it, then scale it, right? So when we nail the one thing down, we figure it out, we've got the house built, then we can build another house. If you try to build 50 houses at a time, you're probably not going to build any houses at all. And I've learned that from experience. So right now, the house I'm building is wake up, get stuff done. Right now, it's literally get out of my bed, write for as long as I want, and then video games and scriptures. So that's my routine, if you want to call it that. But I've tried so many different things, but it's like that works great for me because I love writing and I get that done early in the morning. So prioritizing around that is the key right now. And I'm sure I will have another one in the next month or so once I've nailed this one down more.
Absolutely. Now you talk about pattern, and I love that word, right? Talking about patterns, also we also you've realized a pattern that works for you, and you key into that, and that's very important. And now moving away from that, like us to talk about challenges. Now, for me personally, I have come to embrace challenges in life, because really it has made me to become a better person, and also I have grown in that part. I also understand, I know that you have challenges you've overcome, and also challenges are unique or peculiar to each and every one of us. So that's why we have a unique story to tell to the whole world. Now, for the benefits of the audience of Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen, how can a person navigate their unique challenges in life?
I think one of the advice from one of the members of the leaders of my church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, applies here. So he was a Air Force pilot for many years. His name's Dieter Uchtdorf, if you want to look him up. And he talked about when you are going through turbulence, it'll be tempting to speed up. That's often when you need to slow down. So that's what I've been doing. After I graduated without a job and was frustrated with myself because I've put in tons of work into networking, my podcast and other stuff, I took a step back, was like, okay, well, what do I really want? And I learned that from being an FSY counselor for the church. I was helping out with the For Strength of Youth camp program thing. And that's where I got, this Alaska hat from. One of the places they sent me was Alaska. And so I learned a lot from that. But, all those experiences reminded me that God infinitely was aware of me in this circumstance, as with all others, and that he saw my life from the eternal perspective. So is this a little deep, but I believe that he really does see me, in all aspects of my life and what I will do and what I have done. And he sees it with perfect clarity and compassion. Right. And so once I accepted that and realized those things more anew, then I saw a lot more clarity. And so I looked at my challenges with a lot more excitement, and I started being a little more creative about things and involving God's help, because I'd asked other people for help. I'd asked other people for guidance, and oh, I think you should do this. I think this is your calling. This is it. And I would try, and it's like, this is not working. And it was kind of I wouldn't say against, but it wasn't 100% for what I felt like God was wanting me to do, which was to slow down and not try to speed up and try to grind it out, hustle it out, whatever. It's like, no, I need to really take some time. And so really take some time. For me, I do a ton of reflective writing about how I'm really doing. So take some time to do that. Take time out from hanging out with friends sometimes or whatever, roommates. I love my roommates, but sometimes they watch shows. It's not that the shows are bad. They're great shows. I'm sure it's fantastic. I don't care. I recognize that my life is very, 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 very short, as with everyone else's. I've had multiple friends die in the past year. I am not wasting time on something that I know is so small, something that I can catch up on in any moment if I wanted to. I could just pull up the show. However, the opportunities with it today only really come once. And so, there's some that will be here tomorrow, but that's some thoughts I'd say. Slow down.
Right. Thanks for that perspective, Daĺlin. Once again, I really want to appreciate your time on the show, Dallin Candland. Now, making the most out of our day, we all know how busy life can be. And are there any tweaks that you've had to make when it comes to making the most out of your day? Now, do you think this is universal phenomena or universal principle which my audience, they can embrace?
So I think a principle that the audience can embrace really is accepting change as part of life and appreciating it and looking forward to it. I mean, I know for me, when I'd watch those silly Disney shows from a while ago, and I'll say this again with TV shows and like with my roommates watching their TV shows, like the show's fine, my roommates are great, but it's like me being aligned with that identity of doing that. It's just no. I feel like I've already wasted way too much time, and wasted isn't the right word. I'd say I've spent it, with watching these Disney shows with family and stuff. I don't regret any of it, but it's like, I am not going to do that. If like my kids want to watch a show and I've already, and I see as a way to connect, same thing with video games. Sure, I'll do it. But, accepting that change is going to happen, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, like I loved in the Sweet Life of On Deck, of like the characters, they're growing, they're learning things, they're getting better, and they're changing. Some people fall out off the show. They don't stay on the show very long, and that's life. It happens. But accepting that and embracing that and recognizing that when you take one person out of the puzzle, it gives you a way to put new people in. You have a lot more joy and you have a lot more expectation. So a quick little example I'll give is at the thrift store I work at, we have a lot of old books, a lot of really awesome books, modern books. I've gotten a couple Ryan Holiday books and other books for super, super, super cheap, right? But the only way those books could be on the shelf is if other books were taken off the shelf, because there's limited space. So like, change is a necessary part of life. And if you feel like you're going through a time of rapid wind of change, accept that and just be like, man, God, you really do love me. You're looking out for me because you're letting these things happen. There's this one scripture that talks about like, if we don't have rough times, we're probably not going to remember God, right? Or whatever it is that you believe in. Whatever that thing is that keeps you going, your why. You're probably not going to remember that unless you have rough times that remind you of it.
All right. Thank you once again, Daĺlin. Daĺlin, do you have any projects in the pipeline or any exciting news you'd like to share with my audience?
Yeah, I'm doing my weekly newsletter, Yield Weekly. I talk about, my 5 wins for the week from the topics of health, wealth, mentality, hobbies, and family. I also am finishing up a poetry book for youth in hopes that'll help them out with navigating their life. So I wrote this one. It's called My Light. It's kind of a work in progress, not quite done. It just says, there's a light inside of me. There's a light inside of me, my own unique lighted Christmas tree, decorated from head to toe with wonderful things I've come to know. It lifts up others far and wide and testifies of the one who put it inside. So it's kind of obviously more of a spiritual poem, but like, it reminds me that, we all have different decorations we can put on our Christmas tree and they all look different. And you can't put like 5,000 things on a Christmas tree. You have to decide what you decorate it with. And that's what makes it beautiful. is those colors and those things that are on it, those ornaments that are all part of its story. And so I would argue that, like what you said before, our challenges give us a unique story to tell. And for youth, even if they haven't gone through a lot, or college students or whatever, they have gone through something. There's something that they can learn from it, and they can put that on their Christmas tree, and then they can use that for the future, and they can treasure it. They can treasure all the gems that they've mined from that thing, because even if they would want to go back to that hard time, they can't. There might be memories of it, but they'll never be able to go through the exact same thing as they were going through it. And so that mind is in a way closed. And so appreciating the gems that they got and looking forward to the ones that are ahead is the advice I would give. But yeah, I do the newsletter, I do my podcast, and I'm coming out with that book in January. So
awesome. Wish you best of luck in the project, Daĺlin.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you once again, Dallin Candland, for your time on today's show. I really got our time listening to your insight, especially talking about personal improvement and self-improvement in all phases of life, right? I wish you all the best once again going forward in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank
if you'd
you.
like to catch up with any missed episodes of Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen, you can do so on any cross-promotion platforms or any podcast distribution platforms you bump into online, and you have an amazing time doing so. Now, perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the show, sharing disruptive mindset conversations on any topics or subjects on the personal development and self-improvement. Now, you are the guest that I'm looking forward to have on the show. You can send a mail to me at omobolasteven.o@outlook.com. Perhaps you'd like to get to know more about me and what I've been up to lately. You can check me on my website, omobolasteven.online. Now, I'll be looking forward to your mail. Now, we can have a great show together and be the change the world is waiting for. I talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Omobola.
Yeah.